I am certainly very comfortable to commend this bill to the House, Mr Speaker, and see that the good work that is going on here will be available to New Zealanders as it passes into law. Thank you, Mr Speaker.
I understand the next call is a split call. I will ring the bell at 4 minutes. The Honourable David Cunliffe.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to take a short call on the Patents Bill. Labor supports this bill, but importantly at this stage only, pending on clarification of the government's willingness to accept our own SOP in Claire Curran's name, which of course is backed by the vast majority of New Zealand's innovators, and it stipulates that a computer program, quote, does not prevent an invention that makes use of an embedded computer program from being patentable. It leaves the boundaries of embedded software to be determined by the government on a case-by-case basis, as is appropriate. It would be a nonsense, frankly, to make any computer program patentable, because sub-programs could be used to block the development of innovation. So we're putting that matter on the floor of the House for the government to listen to. We're signalling very clearly that our support for the rest of the bill is contingent and conditional on the government's willingness to accept what has the almost universal support of the industry. Perhaps Microsoft and a couple of others accepted, but the list of names of New Zealand's finest innovative young companies is, I think, incontrovertible. And, of course, the Institute of Patent Attorneys, as my colleague Claire Curran reminds me, support that amendment. You know, sometimes something like the Patent Bill is seen as a technical, boring piece of legislation, but it's hugely important to understand the importance of patenting to our economy and to our economic development future. If we don't just want to be exporting raw logs or exporting raw milk, if we want to have a high-value, high-income, high-export economy, we absolutely survive by our brains, not just our brawn. And our brains have to produce something that's novel and new, and that can then be defended against others who want to copy that. And the way we do that is through the patent law. This law makes clear that you have to be really new, really novel, in order to get a patent, and that's probably appropriate. The bill has had bipartisan support from its outset. It was originally introduced by Labor. It's been worked on by National. These are complex issues, and it's good to see MPs cooperating across the House to try to get the best possible result for New Zealand businesses, because we all, as Kiwis, share a common interest in our exporters being able to do as well as possible in international markets. For that reason, the bill does not cave in to the big pharmaceutical industry who wanted to extend the 20-year term of pharmaceutical patents. It does not allow people to patent medical procedures, because that's not in the interest of public health. One thing which I still have a lingering concern about, and I want to put it on the floor of the House for the record, is that I do have some concerns about requiring patents to be novel after a global search of international precedents rather than on the basis of New Zealand novelty. Now, the reason for that is it becomes an impediment to small emerging companies who may not have the resources to pay a patent attorney to do a complete global search. Now, the counter-argument is, of course, we live in a global market. If you're going to defend globally, you have to be prepared to accept that. What I would warn, and I think it's a bipartisan issue, a multi-partisan issue, is that most New Zealand companies, by world standards, are small companies. So we have to have a law which is relatively user-friendly if we want our small stars to take on the big guys and hold their own. Now, most innovators, even the Googles and the Facebooks and the Apples, started in a garage somewhere, often in Palo Alto. And we've got lots of garages in New Zealand, lots of garages in New Zealand with incredibly innovative Kiwis coming up with the Googles of tomorrow. This bill is really important because it has to get the balance right between making it easy to innovate and secure enough when you get a patent to be able to defend it against the world. Now, an interesting thing, and I have a relation, I won't name him, who is a very good patent attorney, and he tells me that 90% of the patents patented in New Zealand are defensive patents by major international corporations. Less than 10% of the patents in New Zealand are done by New Zealanders. Now, we need to shift that over time. Mr. Speaker's given me the signal. I'll close now. Labor supports the bill this far, but only if my colleague Ms Curran's SOP is adopted in a bipartisan fashion by the government.
Sorry to interrupt the honourable member. His time has expired. A point of order. The Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
To make a personal explanation about one of the comments I made during my speech.
Leave a sort for that purpose. Is there an objection? There is no